Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Parks and Recreation, Leisures, Activities Committee meeting. It's a special meeting of the committee.
It's actually our regular, it's our regular meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at an outdated one. It is our regular monthly meeting. Thank you, Frank. Our regular monthly meeting for December the 2nd, year 2024, 12 o'clock, Parkdale Room, Charlottetown City Hall. Order of business, call the meeting to order. Item 2, declarations of conflict of interest. Okay. Item 3, adoption of the agenda.
Moved. Second.
Motion carried, thank you. Adoption of the minutes.
Moved.
Second.
Motion carried. Any business arising from the minutes?
None.
Okay. I guess we'll move right into our reports. I want to welcome the representatives here from Basketball PEI to entertain your proposal, your presentation. We're excited that you're here with us today, and like to turn the meeting over to you folks. Please introduce yourself, and maybe we'll go around the table so you can become familiar with who's attending this meeting as well. My name is Mitchell Tweel. I'm the chair of the committee.
Frank Quinn, Manager of Parks and Recreation.
Justin Matard, City Councilor, Ward 2.
Tracy Stevenson, Program Coordinator.
Terry Bernard, City Councilor.
I'm Josh Whitty. I'm the Executive and Technical Director for Basketball PI.
Oh, DL Hines, Parks and Recreation.
Melanie Bailey, observing strategic initiatives.
Oliver Mohammed, Chief Administrative Officer.
Jeff Perry, Assistant Program Coordinator.
Richard McEwen, Director of Community Services.
Welcome, sir. The meeting is yours.
Thanks,
Take it away.
guys. So I wanted to say thanks for having us here today. We started this conversation with the Parks and Rec staff, I'd say about a year and a half ago, and have had a number of opportunities to speak and looked at a number of different locations and the outdoor basketball infrastructure within the municipality. And they've been very receptive, very helpful throughout, and we appreciate the fact that we're now at this stage where we're here presenting to the rec committee, and we're hopeful that this project that we're trying to get off the ground is something that would be well received. We believe it would be a major asset to the community, and we're excited about it. So thanks. I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to give a little background on like who we are and what we do. We're the provincial sport organization for basketball in the province. So we're here today representing Basketball PI, representing Charlottetown Minor Basketball, which has over 250 registered participants this year. Also, I wanted to make note of the fact that within Charlottetown, there are currently 24 junior high and high school basketball teams representing over 300 players. So basketball is a sport that is developing quickly in the province, developing quickly here in the municipality, and to the point that like realistically we don't have the infrastructure to support the growth of the sport. So this is where we came to the table with this initiative. There are currently no full-size basketball courts in the community, outdoor basketball courts in the community, I should be clear. And we believe that this project could be a big asset. So we've reached out to an organization, a not-for-profit organization called Buckets and Borders, and they have agreed and shown interest in this project. They've completed, I believe, 19 of these projects across the country. And we were able to get this presentation, this slideshow put together here, which provides a little bit of context as to who they are, provides a little bit of context as to who we are, and sort of what the vision of this potential project could be. I don't know if there's a way for me to click this, or is there a button, or yeah. Yeah, keep going. So Buckets and Borders started in 2015, trying to basically restore courts and enhance public areas. We can keep rolling here. A lot of this is just yeah. There, okay, oh, the last one maybe. So currently across the country, yeah, one more on the back. Okay,
So we're trying to do 10 things at the same time.
okay. Yeah, we're in there. I don't know if it's easier if I can do something there.
I just don't know what page you wanna be
Yeah,
on.
yeah, the other way, back, like
Back?
the 6th or 7th, yeah. And here's good, oh, next one. Sorry, this is, I'm sure, annoying. Yeah, one more. Okay, so, please, yeah, 8. So currently in the country, basketball is the number 2 sport as far as youth participation. 42% of young Canadians are NBA fans. The surge in basketball participation across the country has been massive and has led to interest in projects like this. There was one, oh, this can allow me to do this?
Does it work?
1 second, let's try.
It's our first time using this room, so we're working out the kinks.
Yeah, no, sorry, I
Usually
and really,
council.
I should have played with this before. So, where am I? So, yeah, so these guys come in, they have done this before. They have, in front of you, there's construction material specifications, and there's also the back side of this presentation. We will circulate this document and 2 others to everybody in attendance following the meeting. We have identified a location here in Charlottetown that makes a lot of sense. 19 total courts renovated across 30 communities, 25,000 kids potentially playing in these courts. Actually, there's 2 located, one in Mexico and one in South Africa that they were involved in as well. They're a Canadian not-for-profit. They're based out of Saskatchewan, and I'll share more links of some of the videos and some of the openings that they've done, community events that they've done as well. Partnership approach. Going back. I'm gonna skip through some of this here to get to as it pertains specifically to here in Prince Edward Island, which is what's in front of you. The PI project. Okay, so we are looking at the Frank J. Macaulay Park in I guess is that Parkdale?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that court I mean, is in relatively good shape. I don't believe it's highly utilized currently in its current condition and form. I know there's a tennis net up. I know that there's some youth groups that use it for various things. But the location is a strong candidate for a project like this. They've looked at the surface and had some pricing done, and they believe that the total cost of this project would be in the $185,000 range. That would include full-size outdoor basketball court revamp. This organization hires local artists to design the murals of the courts. They'd also have their sort of media content and storytelling aspect of what they do. We would have a grand opening, that kind of thing. All of that is included in that project costs. They've recently completed 3 courts in Halifax this fall. They again engage local artwork. We'd have an aspect of community survey, look into what type of historical insights and local basketball community type insights we could incorporate into the project. The scope of the construction would be new asphalt on top of the existing court surface. It was deemed that while it's in decent shape and certainly the groundwork would be in decent shape for us to sort of be at the standard of the type of court we're trying to build, it would need a new coat of asphalt. Acrylic resurfacing would be applied post asphalt. And then the actual mural itself, 2 new basketball standards with backboard and rims. And then some fencing depending on what's able to be used that's in the current site. I mean, these courts that are in the back of these images are the ones that they've done in the past. And again, I'll circulate videos showcasing some of the projects that they've completed. Community-led initiative that celebrates arts, culture, and sport. Youth skill development on and off court. We would be looking to, as an organization, host events at the site. 3-on-3 tournaments, outdoor leagues, summer camps. There's kind of like unlimited potential as to what we could use the venue for, which again, unless I'm misunderstanding something, that area specifically isn't of high usage and high foot traffic currently for any sort of particular activity. Like the tennis net's been hanging down and like it's just not necessarily a high traffic area, and I think it could become one for my usage moving forward.
So Josh, with the footprint that's there now is the size that you need for this?
Yeah, or it's pretty close. Like we could expand slightly to accommodate. The surface that we would want to put down would be like an official FIBA court, which was like the international court. And it is like, look from a location standpoint, it's in a pretty good spot. Yeah, like from.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering what's there now, the footprint of that size that's there now, would this have to be much bigger or is it very similar footprint?
No, very similar.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
very
very
similar.
very similar. Yeah, there'd be like right now there's one basket in the corner of this here site. We would put baskets on each end. It would be a full court. It would be have the correct lines.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty high end type product, and would be a huge benefit to the local basketball community. I kind of have the feeling like when we build one of these, we'll get a scope for just how busy they'll be. There's not really an alternative in the city that anybody could go and participate in a game. Yeah, like there's a number of basketball pads or half courts, nothing to this scale. So the ask really from Basketball Borders and Buckets and Borders and Basketball PI for the rec committee or for city council really would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $130,000 to $150,000 to support this project, and Buckets and Borders and Basketball PI would fundraise and sponsor the rest of the project. Yeah.
Josh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a couple questions.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure what the format in here.
No,
Wanna
you
raise
go
your
ahead.
hand or, because we used to buzz in over there. Just a couple of questions, just thinking about, I'm glad to see that that there's a lot of community involvement and engagement through this project and, taking into consideration the actual community itself and things that may be important to that community seems to be one of the drivers. So, especially when it comes to the artwork or, and who's involved in coming up with that design. Now, I don't know if it's generally, what we've seen there as an examples, maybe there are things that can tie into the richness of what Parkdale is or that particular area is. So that's definitely working with the community to do that, correct?
No question, yeah, we wanna reach out to the community to see what all we could encompass in this, the artwork of the project, for sure.
We are seeing in that area, there is there's some diversity in that area now. There's a number of apartment buildings that are over kind of closer to the racetrack, so there's a very diverse population of people in that area, so that it'd be great to incorporate everybody in there, and then the park itself, and then the residents who've been around there for a long period of time.
Absolutely.
Secondly, you talked about all the great opportunities that this will present. I just want to make sure that who would be somewhat operating this from an ongoing, because it is used. I know you indicated that it's not widely used, but there is a number of kids
Yeah,
that
no
just use
question.
it because it's it's open.
Yeah, and
you know,
and it's a
whether-
public space,
Yeah,
and
it's a public space, so there's no scheduling of that particular area. Now, if we're going to have something like that in there, and there's an expectation that there could be scheduled use of that.
Yeah.
Who would manage that, how would that be, you know, how would that affect the openness of what's there currently right now? So I just want, I mean, you don't have to answer those questions, I mean, unless there's an answer.
Yeah, the answer would be, it would be operated through the Charlottetown Parks Recreation Department, just like our pickleball group.
Yeah.
And we would work with basketball PEI, they would have certain times allocated, there'd be free time, open time, the public could just go in. It would become more, like it would become a basketball venue is what it would. And we do find that that is probably the highest use in the venue right now, people that shoot hoops there.
Yeah, I would concur, I mean, that's, I see a lot of
Yeah, so that's
people
that's
with-
why we felt it was a good idea, that's where there is a lot of the demographic are coming and actually wanting to use that venue. It's very visible, right on the road, it's got parking. The rest of the park is very heavily used with softball, walking paths, you'll see a
Yeah.
newcomer group there sets up with an outdoor, they have a volleyball net set up. So, and the Boys and Girls Club has taken ownership over that park as well and has done upgrades as well. So we think this is a great opportunity to work with Basketball PEI and Buckets for Borders, a nonprofit who can help make sure we have a state-of-the-art facility afterwards that looks good and fits in the community.
And the scheduling, Justin, it's worked out well in Hillsborough Park on the
Yeah.
pickleball courts, the scheduling for the association and scheduling for open for the public.
Yeah, so that, you know, just we'll work through all of those if we proceed. I just want it to be a collaborative engagement with various stakeholders, cause there's different, I mean, there is and still continues to be a tennis court. Now, whether or not it's utilized is another thing, but nonetheless, there might still be some need for that in the future. And we'll-
I'd like to just follow up with Councilor Matart, you know, when he talked about tennis. If you look at the Frank McCauley Park, it's a huge park. I wonder, I mean, we're gonna spend, you know, partnership, basketball, PEI, you know, that type of expenditure. I wonder, would it be more prudent if we were to construct a brand new facility there, keep the tennis component that's there. You know, there's plenty of room. You know, you've identified Frank McCauley Park as the candidate, and I think it's a good location. So, wonder, Frank, if you know the department, yourself and senior management would be open to, I mean, we're gonna spend that kind of money anyway. So would it be prudent to at least look at that option to maintain what we have there now and construct a brand new facility right there?
Yeah,
At least
well, we
can
did
we-
look at that, yeah, we did look into that, it would be much more
How
costly.
much more?
Much more costly probably, because that park itself has some ground issues, it is a low park, you'd have to bring a lot of fill. The area right now, and the reason why we looked at it is like I said, the tennis area, it is underutilized, and you know, we set up some multi-sport court at the time, but you sort of see which uses use it at most, and it is basketball. And to redo that court, and this is the number they put here, 185, we still need to go through that, because the numbers I had figured out was not quite that high. But it all depends on what, you know, items are gonna be added to it from Buckets and Borders. So we'd look at it, you would spend easily $500,000 versus probably less than 200,000.
$500,000.
When you're talking fill, because the area is, you're talking.
Correct.
Yeah, you're talking to bring it up, you gotta bring in all the unsuitable fill, put in possible shale, gravel drainage, asphalt, upgraded a new fence, you know, new basketball, so using an existing venue, court, so you just see what it's costing us down at Victoria Park to do a rehaul to those.
And back to Councillor Bernard's point, the surface area is exactly what is needed. So they can have the court inside there and players' benches, but maybe the bleachers will be outside. So that was really one of the most important parts of us identifying J. Frank is the size of it and the potential for the improvement.
It's very visible, and we look at it, we look at now, we do tennis courts, standalone tennis courts aren't as popular as actually having 2 courts, 3 courts, 4 courts, 6 courts. And we're finding we have, with the upgrades to Victoria Park, once those are done, we'll have 5 brand new courts there, then we'll look at the next 3 courts. we'll look at down at Queen Elizabeth Park, what's needs are there, but basketball is a deficiency right now that we know we need a venue to meet the demand, and we've made a lot of upgrades or made some steps towards upgrading some of our pads, our basketball pads and smaller courts.
Yes, we have.
And we're working on actually having Jeff on staff, he's president of Basketball PEI, which are Charlottetown Basketball. So he's been able to use his inroads to try to making courts when you're designing them, they make sense, having an official size half court versus having a pad that really can't be used for official play. So we've been going through that and identifying sort of a new standard on moving forward for our basketball pads, basketball courts, and then our official size courts. Start with one and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, so I can just speak to that a little, like when we first wanted to come to the city about this, we looked at a number of locations and the potential of a new build, and even at that stage, like a brand new build in the right area was like 300 to 350,000. If we're looking at a double court or something like that, we're in obviously a different type of scale. So that's where the Macaulay Park was identified as it's the most ready to get close to what we need or to get to where we need to be with a facility.
And very visible, very visible.
No question, yeah.
What about directly adjacent to the court? So the court is here, directly right here, like twin adding that.
Add to the back of it?
Yeah, well, I guess the
So
backside.
there's space on one side, I mean, it's right on the road, so it's space on the other side. I'm not sure you could fit a second full court
Where the-
because of the playground structure that's there.
Yeah, so there's a water
Yeah.
fountain very close to there now,
Yeah.
we installed it, you're getting into that,
Okay,
and
no,
I know in
just-
that park,
I
I know
know
we did the
if
ball
moving
field.
into another particular area, and then even at the platform where we have our, where we have the community park barbecue there.
Yeah.
Like that's a nice flat area there as well. So it's something I was going to talk to you about from the capital budget perspective
Yeah.
anyway, so I think it's something I'll keep pursuing just in more areas of what's available.
So what
down
we'd
there.
like to, the area needs an overhaul too, so
Yeah.
there has been some areas where, and you'll see the tennis post has sunk, there's been some augmentation where the ground has dropped. And so there is some upgrades need to be done to this
Sure.
area right now. It's such a prime location, we will look at it, is the potentially, everything I look at now, where can the future go, so we can look at it, get this upgraded. Because maybe they'll be coming back to us and
Yeah.
saying, okay, we need another basketball venue, and it would make sense to have them twinned. But then also it could be, we get more pressure for tennis or ball hockey or whatnot.
Okay, well, so my last question, so in order to do this, would this be something that would come through planning and then of course have to go to public consultation to get public feedback, or is this something that would be?
Yeah, so we'd bring it to the budget process, what we'll be doing is working with Basketball PI if there is the support for us to move forward with this, and we'd do some public consultation once we go to the meeting, once we have a preliminary design, get their feedback on what kind of things they would like to see in, but if it's an official basketball court, it's sort of on the art side, reaching out to community groups, Boys and Girls Club, of course, would be a great group to reach out to that are in the area.
But there's community impact, I think it's a positive way, but there's also, when we bring something like that into the area, it's going to attract
Yeah.
more people, and I think that's very
Yeah.
positive, but at the same time, I'd like for the community to have their input in, what is going to be there,
Yeah.
and I'm sure.
Yeah, so
very
we
well
do a public
supported.
meeting, yeah, so we'll
Very
do a
well
public, that's
supported.
generally what we do with the new park development. Same with this, we would bring this as the new venue development for this area, we go out and get the public.
Sure.
Any concerns raised, we try to address them and go from there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Chair. Sorry I was late, we were both at the unofficial opening of the new Simmons Aquarina facility, beautiful facility. Thanks to Councilor Bernard being part of that team. Yesterday, we raised,
I wasn't there for the.
no, but Councilor should show up, you had the opportunity to show up. Yesterday, we raised the flag for the Philippines, 75 years of diplomatic relations with Canada and the Philippines. And one of their priority sports is basketball. It's big in the Philippines. So when you talk about diversity, they are focused on getting more access, Josh, to courts, indoor, outdoor. So I think it's great that we're looking at this project as not just for our Canadian base right now, but all Canadians, new, old, and so forth. And I give credit to Jeff. I think you've added 4 more outdoor courts to our municipal parks around the city. They're not standard, they're not regulation size, but they are courts to start for younger people. And if you'll talk about an indoor facility, Councillor Bernard, Councillor Matart, Councillor Twill, we were at the presentation by the, and I think it was live streamed by Holland College, and I think Tennis PEI, they were looking at a new facility on the waterfront, 22 million, but it would be tennis, basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Yeah, that's a big cost, and I don't think we're in the, Mr. Chair, we're in the position to, look at
No,
that big
no, but
facility.
I do think though, when you have, tennis PEI, and you have Holland College, when they come forward with a plan, I think we have to do our due diligence, we have to identify what the potential funding partners are, like as you mentioned, we just came from the new Simmons Arena. That was done as a result of funding from the other two levels of government as well. So, as long as we have an open mind and we do our due diligence and see, whether or not we can make the numbers work, we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to our respective community groups and user groups to exhaust every opportunity, every option, to see what the possibilities are. And it's no secret there's a big demand for more facilities. Councillor Bernard has made that quite clear. Regardless, in the high density areas, I mean, the pressure's on.
Yeah.
The pressure's on, and so we have to have an open mind.
And Mr. Chair, as you know, when Councillor Danny Redmond was Parks Rec, Councillor
Sure
Danny, he put a lot of focus and effort into that park.
Yes, he did.
And remember at one point, Councillor Bernard, we looked at going with a concrete culvert box to take that, to deal with that water course issue. It was too big. So when you talk about trying to build somewhere else in that park, it's gonna be challenging, as Frank said, because it all slants to that water course that goes from the north end of the city right out to the Hillsborough River. So that's the challenge. But I know where Councillor Matard is coming from. I know when they built the basketball court at Colonel Gray. Now, some of the neighbors thought it was a great idea. But when you get kids playing basketball at 12 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, it disrupts the neighborhood. So I know where Councillor Matard is coming from, and I know I would be concerned also. But I think going back to what Councillor Bernard has been saying over and over again, let's look at this annex property out on the east end, on the east side. It's not downtown, but it's a possibility, a potential for us to be a partner with the province, the private enterprise, to get some land out there to build multiplexes, a multiplex and
Sport complex, is what we were talking about.
And I think, so Councillor Menard, I know if you go to a public meeting, that will be first and foremost, how much noise? How much, how long, will there be restrictions on the hours of operation?
So-
And I know there will be.
So, yeah, and the biggest thing is, this is just one of the options we're looking at
Yeah.
right now. It's the one that came to the forefront
Yeah.
because it made sense. We've looked at Queen Elizabeth Park, we've looked at elsewhere, we have the pads. And we're looking at, okay, renovating something and having it's gonna be less costly, it'll get this moved forward, get it out there, see how it works. Then down the road, if we're wanting to build a multi-complex with 2 basketball pads, 3 basketball pads, you wanna build 3 soccer fields, 3 ball fields, those kind of things, but you need the land, and that's been our biggest challenge in the city here, is we just don't have a whole bunch of available land.
And Mr. Chair, if I can just finish up, if we look at that tennis court on Spring Lane, is it booked every day? Booked day in, day out? I don't think it is.
No, it's not, so
Okay. It's similar to the one up in,
Basketball
It's
has,
not one you would book.
yeah, it's not one you would book.
yeah, so, but
Yeah.
I've driven by there numerous times. I've never seen a tennis ball go over the fence.
And the court needs some upgrades right now because there's a low spot.
And it's similar-
Basketball is the highest use, it has,
Similar would be the Queen Elizabeth court,
yeah, it's a
tennis
backup
court.
court, it's a backup.
It's there, it's great to have. So Frank and Mr. Chair, let's look at something that we can develop and give these guys some assurance that, look, we're going forward. Josh, there's Tracy Singleton.
The parent group that I'm here representing as well is
They are
Tracy
really
Singleton.
pushing for this, and I think we have an opportunity. And Josh, thanks for passing on this link to Buckets and Borders. It's amazing that we could, have the opportunity to build a court with community participation, because that's what, I've looked at some of the videos, that it's not just a professional artist that comes in, it's the community that becomes part of the project. I think it's great, I think we wanna do something, but Mr. Chair, let's find a place where, there'll be the least resistance from the neighborhoods, the least resistance from, going ahead with the project and having potential to build onto it.
I like it
So
myself.
I just wanna say, I wasn't indicating, I just think it's
No.
important to have community input. I hope they're very supportive of it, but it's important to ensure that we do this in a way that involves the community and, from all fronts, right? So that's all. I mean, I'm very hopeful. I think it would be a great opportunity for Frank McCauley Park. And I hope that, as we move through this process, it's gotta come out obviously the other end here as to the financial component. But
I understand that, but I'm coming from my own background, when they built the basketball court at Colonel Gray, great idea, but we live right in the corner, and was I complaining? No, didn't wanna complain, because it's an activity that was taking place in the area, and right next to Simmons Sports Fields. Like, Mr. Chair, let's find a place that we can build on and add on and add on, and I know Josh and Tracy and all those parents, including the Gizzes, will be in full support of where we wanna go with it. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
And I just wanna acknowledge the staff too that have been working on the basketball pads. Jeff worked with them kind of thing, but our park staff, Nancy and Dean, and the programming side as well, so.
Josh, I want to go back to your, before we move on, back to your presentation, or early in your presentation, and you talked about all those different basketball teams. Did you say there were high school teams or junior high school teams, or are they strictly community driven?
So we're offering programming for all ages through Basketball PI, but what I touched on was that there's over 250 kids playing in Charlottetown Minor, which is the elementary school age currently, and in the city right now, we've got 24 junior high and high school teams. There's 5 at Queen Charlotte, 5 teams at Birchwood, 4 at Stone Park, 6 at Colonel Gray, and 6 at Charlottetown Rural right now. And now I'd also add to that in that there's even more kids that are trying to play at those age groups. Like there was 80 kids that tried out at Birchwood. 24 make the team, and then because of our lack of facility access, gymnasium access, there's another 40-50 kids that don't make teams in that age group that don't have a place to play. So yeah, basketball is busting at the seams in the province, and we actually can't meet the demand currently.
And I'll just note, we've done an inventory of all our basketball pads and basketball courts, smaller courts, and condition assessment, so we've started moving forward on, as we're doing renovations, to make the renovations make sense, make the course that it can be potentially a half court, because 3-on-3 basketball now is becoming huge as well.
Yeah.
So it's an official size half court. Then where you have a small pad might just have the size for an actual key to be set up, so you can actually do shoot 21, those kind of things. So oftentimes our courts, our small courts were built in areas and they just were, okay, we can fit this in here, let's make it this size. But you couldn't even fit a 3-point, like you couldn't fit in a half court, you couldn't fit in a key. So we're purposely revisiting them now, and there's a lot of great shaped pads and it'll take time to upgrade them, but we're working through that process, and we're gonna rate them to say, this is different levels, this is more competitive play, this is more recreational, those kind of things.
Just before we move on, one of the things, Frank, that you talked about was the low spots in the Frank McCauley Park. And you said, we'd have to bring in Phil.
There could even be some more challenges, because it's Spring Lane, so it is part of it's a tidal park.
Yeah.
So the water pushes back into the park, there's a lot of springs in that area as well, so it's.
I understand that, but, you talked about Phil, that cost of Phil. I mean, will we not have access to all that fill that was ripped up down at the, Water Street? All that material, would we have access to that?
You wouldn't want it
It's unsuitable, Phil.
dirty.
It would be
No, I'm talking
unsuitable,
about the
Phil.
new street that was paved in Water Street that was ripped up.
Yeah.
So,
It's dirty too.
Yeah.
No, that was top coat that was put in the old
I'm
landfill.
talking,
There's the engineer.
well, could we at least take that into consideration? You know, if there's a
It
possibility.
was used as top coat in the old
Yeah.
landfill site. You can't pull it out of there. It needed top coat there.
Yeah.
So they can.
Anyway, I
they
just
can-
wanted to bring that as a possibility. Josh, I wanna thank you for
Thank
your
you, Josh.
presentation. Wanna thank you for all your work. Please let your colleagues know that, you know, we are committed. We have been committed. Our staff has worked over the past, you know, over the last year or so. I know that, you know, there's been a tremendous push. But our staff has put a lot of time and effort into, not only basketball facilities, I mean, we're getting tremendous pressure, but we want you to know your voices are being heard. So thank you for being here today, and if there's any other additional information, if the committee has any additional information, to reach out to Frank or other members of our senior management team, and let's keep communications going. Councilor Bernard?
Yeah, and I just wanted, I'm glad the mayor and yourself, Chair, had brought it up, but I think it's important, and this conversation shows how important we're falling behind in a lot of the sports and immigrant sports in the city, and we talk about we have to have fine land. And that's one of the things that we looked at, that annexed land that's coming, it's now annexed into East Rawley out by Jewel's Country Garden, and there's a possibility of 25 acres. And the good thing about that is we're behind in soccer fields, we're behind in rugby fields. We don't have a cricket field. We don't have
Basketball
pickleball courts.
Yeah.
Now we hear about basketball,
Yeah.
like it's all coming together. The
Baseball, too.
population is increasing, we've got to move on some of these sports to get caught up and get ahead. And the good thing about that location is not only can it be a sport complex, but you can have lights and everything out there, you're not bothering any residents. Because it's mostly gonna be commercial area. So I'm glad it was brought up, I think it's something that we need to pursue, and we need to pursue it sooner rather than later, now that it's been annexed, and I think it's now zoned. I don't know, Elder, maybe you know if the zoning is done in that land yet?
Not that I've heard, but I can check.
Yeah.
So,
And
anyway.
there is some opportunities in the heart of the city as well.
Oh, yeah.
So we do have,
Yeah.
like, we can revitalize some facilities.
No, but that's the problem, it's always, there's, you know, you hear the manager say, well, right now, we're 2 ball fields short, and we're gonna be 4 within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Where are you building them? Not down at Memorial Park.
No, but I mean,
Sherwood Soccer is saying, we need 2 more fields now.
yeah, I
Where do you
understand that.
build? So the problem becomes,
Yeah.
we can talk about, we wanna put them around the city, but if there's no land, there's no land.
No,
This is
but
an
I mean-
opportunity, once it gets developed, it's gone too.
I know, but there's opportunities for field turf as well.
Oh, there may be,
Yeah.
I'm not saying everything has to go out there, but we certainly gotta get caught up in a lot of
Oh,
these
yeah,
sports.
yeah, yeah.
Because we're behind now, so we're not even caught up before you
And-
move
and-
into the future.
And the other thing is too, and I think you'll agree with me, Councilor Bernard, is that, you know, the feds and the province gotta come to the table too. They-
Well, from my conversation with the province, they're ready.
They gotta
They're
come to
waiting
the
on us.
table, you know, they gotta come to the table as well, because, you know, they're introducing these new programs, we have an influx of people that are coming here, and they have a great expectation. And it puts tremendous pressure on the municipality,
Yeah.
so they've gotta come to the table too when it comes to funding as well.
And I think, Simmons was 73% funding
Oh, yeah.
on both levels of government.
25 million.
We got about, 18 million at the end of the day,
Yeah.
again about,
But that's
so,
because costs went up,
yeah, the cost
I
did
mean,
go up, but
when
we
we
got
signed the
18
agreement,
million.
so.
And Mr. Chair, just as Councilor Bernard was saying, like, I'm, the last few years, the needs have been climbing. This is just another
That's what I'm saying.
need that is piling up. And the Indian and the Pakistani community is saying like, where's your cricket pitch? We have one over in Stratford and a potential for another one to be built up by Fullerton Marsh. Like, we have to respond.
But
And
I think the manager
Josh,
has.
Josh, I think your presentation, and Tracy Single, and I can't, anywhere I meet Tracy's, Philip, what's the city doing about the basketball? I said, well, who's your counselor? Speak to him or her first, and then you can get back to us.
You wouldn't do that, would you?
So we do that first. I wanna follow the chain of command.
Yeah.
Do that, would you?
But let's get it done. Let's move on it.
Okay, thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, our next report, Frank, I think you'll be addressing this one. A resolution to award, request for proposal, Frank?
Request for public, I think it was.
Yeah, for snow clearing at Simmons Sports Arena and Cody Banks.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Alright, so this is our biannual, every 2 years we do this, the snow clearing we award. So Public Works and Parks and Recreation went out to RFQ, and you'll see that we received, 2 bids, what's this in order? So we received 2 bids for each arena, and we're awarding $6,500 plus applicable taxes to PD Construction Limited for Cody Banks Arena. And then the low bid for Simmons Arena was $7,000 plus applicable taxes from Dixon Snow Removal for Simmons Sports Center. And this is for the snow removal at these 2 facilities, so we will award it this year, and as long as they honor the price, we will award it to them again next year.
I'll move it.
Move.
So they're both low bids.
All low bids.
I'll second
All in
it.
favor?
Yeah.
Motion carried, thank you. Okay, Frank, please. Update on our capital projects, any questions?
No, I do wanna say thank you to Frank and his crew, for the, boardwalk that is now extended across Brighton Road to Terry Fox Drive.
Just got finished, they're just being finished this morning, so.
Thank you very much, and I think the chair should follow up with the MLA or the minister from the area, Rob Lance, because he did indicate, Mr. Chair, that he would, try to find the money to cost share it. So maybe both of us can talk to him and make sure
You
that,
mean on the boardwalk?
Sure.
Yeah.
Has a commitment been made?
well, he
Yeah.
gave us a verbal commitment,
Yeah.
so we should follow
That
up.
too.
And I have already,
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask the question. Was a commitment made?
yes, verbal commitment, yeah.
Verbal. Okay. Verbal.
I thought I seen an email where he was committing to it. Didn't see a number amount, but he was committing to partner funding.
Chair knows him pretty good, so.
Cheers. Just a quick question on the second phase of the J. Frank McCauley. Have we gone back out to tender on that one?
So we haven't, they're doing the design, so they're actually having to, so we won't be going up to tender until probably January, February, cause they won't honor their price that long. So we'll be going out to retender here early in the new year, I believe that's what I indicated in my report.
So then the intention would be to put shovel in the ground as early as,
It would be probably May at the earliest, probably mid-May, because that area does tend to be a little low.
And just on that, we did get a legal opinion come back through finance that said that we could have went with that tender.
The
No.
legal opinion said that?
No,
So we were in full compliance?
No, if you read the legal opinion, it was, process was followed. We had to go out to tender, we couldn't slide it into another tender.
I didn't see the legal, you know what? I'll do
Unless
it.
unless I missed it.
Just a minute, guys.
That's what it was
Folks.
explained to me.
Folks,
Yeah.
you know what? I request that legal opinion. I've asked for it,
Yeah.
and I wanna know why I haven't received it.
You know what? I slipped my mind, I'll slip it to you right now.
Well, why wasn't it sent to me and
Well,
sent to this
look,
committee?
just other things were going on, so I didn't,
So it went to the finance committee, is that right?
yeah, it was,
It didn't come to this committee.
it's a financial matter, so it went to the
financial
finance
No, but I
committee.
mean, it
What's that
started,
first?
with all due respect, folks, it started here.
Yeah, no, but process requires that it goes back to the standing committee for finance and
And I asked the
administration.
question.
Yeah.
Where's Jenkins? He's not here.
No, Mr.
I
Chairman.
asked the question, Mr. Jenkins, Mr. Quinn, were we in compliance, full compliance
Right.
with the procurement policy? And we were told in no uncertain terms that we were in full compliance, correct?
I'm gonna send you the email right now there
No,
with the
Is
legal
that what the
opinion.
legal opinion said?
No,
No, so biggest things, we could have went with the awarding it to it, but we're setting ourselves up for liability because the fact we didn't go out to a full tender. Like you said, our procurement policy says you can't do it, doesn't mean you can do it, like if it doesn't say you can, so that's the whole thing is. So right now, yes, could we have done it? We could have issued it through the change order, but potentially we would have set ourselves up for another company to say, okay, why didn't you go out to tender? So to make it the cleanest, they've said your best way of doing it is to going out to re-tendered or going out to tender for this new phase. Cause it was also set up as phase 1, phase 2 versus actually one project, so that was a little bit of a different as well. It wasn't, initially it was
Here's
set up
Danny.
as phase 1, so.
You know what?
But it's no issue with India, we'll go out to tender and we'll get it done.
Well,
hopefully next
no,
year.
I have to disagree. Because when we voted as a committee, I asked the question at the time. Mr. Jenkins was present, you were present, and I asked the question if we were in full compliance. And I was told, as chair of this committee, we were in full compliance with the procurement policy. So we moved it on to finance, it got overturned in finance, went to council, and then I think the vote went 5-5.
Did,
5-5, the mayor broke the tie.
correct.
So, Mr. Jenkins, were we in compliance?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So with respect to the legal opinion that we received, what the opinion said is that council had the discretion to send it back to be tendered, and that the best interest of the city provision is a discretionary authority of council. So it could have been done that way, but it really, the authority rests with council in terms of the decision to send it back to tender or to allow it to proceed on the best interests of the city. And one of their recommendations was that hopefully with the new procurement bylaw, that the terms under which the best interests of the city tool in the procurement policy, that the conditions under which that could be utilized would be more clearly defined. So, not that it was wrong to come on the way it was recommended by the department.
And the committee. Committee
And the committee.
passed a motion.
It was certainly supportable, but ultimately the authority rests with council as to whether or not they allow it to proceed on that basis or they send it back to the tender. So I don't think there was anything incorrectly done, but the ultimate authority rests with council, and the legal opinion supported that council did have that authority.
I know, I understand the ultimate authority rests with council. The question becomes, was the committee in full compliance with the procurement policy as it stands today? Not talking about the procurement bylaw, we've been talking about that till the cows come home. When we passed that motion, were we in full compliance? And we were, right? Yes, or now the legal opinion casts doubt on that, and it seems to be, correct me if I'm wrong, too bad our legal people weren't here, but it seems to be now it's evasive and ambiguous. It's not clear cut as was set out when the committee passed the motion to send it on to finance, hoping, or not hoping, saying, okay, we're in full compliance. Based on the recommendation from yourself, Mr. Quinn, full compliance, goes to finance, and finance to council.
Thank you, Chair. So with respect to the decisions or the recommendations that were made by the committee, there's nothing in the opinion or nobody's really making an allegation that there was anything offside there. But what the legal opinion says is that the authority to approve or send it back, approve it as a change order in the best interest of the city, or to send it back to tender was really a discretionary authority of council, and that council had the authority to do that, so.
I don't disagree with you on the.
Could have done it either way.
I know, but you know what? I don't disagree with you on the discretionary aspect of things. I know where the ultimate authority lies with council, right? Right? But, let's see, that's not what the question was when we sought the legal opinion. The question was the committee in full compliance with the procurement policy? That's what the question was. It wasn't whether or not council can discretionary, make a decision to accept or reject the recommendation from the finance committee. That wasn't the question. I understand the discretionary aspect of things, but anyway, you know what? I knew that was gonna happen. I knew exactly what was gonna take place. Evasive and ambiguous, both sides of the fence. The old 50-50 trick.
Now, Mr. Chair, anyone that's in business understand that tenders provide a level playing field for all bidders. We would have been challenged by one of the bidders, I'm sure.
We would have been challenged by who?
By one of the bidders, one of the companies that bid on on the tender. So, you know, I know from experience, working in the business,
Right?
when someone gets the upper hand, so you talk about evasive and
Yeah, I
all
do.
these other
Yeah.
adjectives, I can tell you that the tendering process is to ensure a balanced, equitable, equal playing field. So, in my view, what happened there wasn't balanced, equal playing field. Therefore, when I voted, because it went to council, the vote went 5-5, I voted to say no, go back to tender. That being said, council's voted. The legal opinion says, council said no to it, so you move on. Move
But
on.
Mr. Mayor, like, what the challenge is gonna happen here in this situation is this is gonna continue.
What is?
This 50, you know, I mean, you can go this way or it can go this way. That's what I heard. It could have went either way here. We don't need an either way situation. We need to know that if it's being approved by the procurement policy, then we can do that. That's what came in question, was were we offsides on that? And the finance committee is the one who decided we were. And then that's when Mitch asked to have a legal opinion.
Get a legal
And the decision got made before we knew what the legal opinion
But
was.
why would you need a legal opinion for a tender? Come on, Councilman
I'm just
Tarr.
going through the
Liability.
process.
No,
Liability.
liability. Well, if we had it
Island
worked the
Coastal.
way it was set up, we were libelous. That's what the lawyer was
So
saying.
This should set the standard until we have a procurement bylaw in place, because we've seen
Correct.
other situations like this.
Well, you and I and all of us participated in the budgetary process.
We wouldn't have been liable, so.
Frank Macaulay Park was phase 1, phase 2. There were 2 tenders. We set out 2 projects to amalgamate or to join tender 2 with tender
But if our
1.
if our procurement policy, if our procurement policy allows us to do that,
Yeah.
then we're not in a liable situation. I think what the
So
legal
that's my
opinion
point I'm
said.
trying to make. That's the point I'm trying to make is if it's allowing us to do something and that, then
And I
why
think
are we doing
he said
that?
the
Yeah.
procurement will be more clear on the
More
new
clear, yeah,
procurement.
that's the
contract.
thing.
Well,
So that's
it-
some
it's
disparities.
So,
Getting clearer language, and as Councillor Twill has said, and we've said over and over again, we need the procurement bylaw. That will clearly define all these situations that are
we've
debatable
identified that as one of our
or
priorities.
cause some,
Okay.
I understand that,
Anxiety.
but I just wanna go back one more time. When we dealt with it at this committee.
Yeah.
Right? Mr. Jenkins, Mr. Quinn said, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, we were in full compliance with the procurement policy, right? Am I wrong or wrong? Am I wrong or?
Thank you, Jerry. Yes, no, I don't think there's anything incorrect in what you said, but ultimately, because the tender award has to come to council for approval, council has the discretion to say, nah, no, we'd rather you do it this way, so that's where we got directed and that's what's
The mayor
taking place
talks
now.
about, liable, well, you know what? Maybe Island Coastal could turn around and sue us too,
yeah,
right?
that's right, yeah. they could.
So, we're leaving ourselves wide open after, I said on the floor of that council, and I'll stick by it, Island Coastal won that bid fair and square.
For tender 1.
No, there
Tender
wasn't
one.
2 tenders.
Yep.
No. Anyway,
Just
our next item,
new business?
no. Any questions concerning, seniors engagement committee, report?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
No. No questions? E, youth engagement committee report. Any questions?
Nope.
Any concerns? No?
Good.
Okay. Introduction of new business.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask if, this is not a notice of motion, if we could invite some members of the Charlottetown Rotary Club into our next standing committee meeting, because they have some projects that they want to move on within the city of Charlottetown. For example, they're looking at Confederation Landing public washrooms, something that we've looked at over the last number of years. Victoria Park Pavilion washrooms, Rotary Gate to Victoria Park, just some ideas. And I also put on the table, Frank, I don't know how it's moving, but we still have that open space that Councillor Twill and I thought we had a deal with the former Minister of Transportation, Public Works and Infrastructure, Steve Myers, when he said, look, we're gonna trade the land, never happened, for the old Prince Edward Island hospital site. So could I ask if we could just add them on the agenda?
Before, could you ask, I don't disagree with you, but I think Rotary, have they contacted our management? When?
They haven't, so if they could reach out to me, we could put them on a presentation for our next meeting.
Yeah.
And usually we try to have them at the start of the meeting, and then they could provide us a bit of an idea of some of the projects, because I think some of these ones might be working towards as well, so,
Frank, these are just some ideas.
Yeah.
You know that they made a $300,000 contribution to the new Charlottetown Library Learning
Oh,
Center.
yeah.
So they do have project money.
Oh, I-
And they want to be part of a growing,
Yeah.
vibrant, diverse city.
Exciting, dynamic,
which-
over the top, cutting edge.
Which Rotary Club
right,
is
you
this?
gotta go.
Which Rotary?
I do have to go.
Charlottetown Rotary
It's
Club.
after one.
Charlottetown Rotary, it's not, okay.
Thank you for your participation today.
you.
I want everyone to know today's a great day. The opening of Simmons Arena is not only a landmark, it's a legacy, it's a new frontier. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.